Hi there, I'm Ollie. I'm the maker of Pin Generator, and I've teamed up with Mim Jenkinson to answer some of her students' most asked questions so that you guys can make sense of Pinterest in 2022. And in doing so, we're hoping to drive more traffic to your Etsy store, your e-commerce store, and your website by using Pinterest marketing. All of the questions that I want to ask are down in the description below, so if you want to jump through directly to any one, you can do so by clicking on the shortcut link below. First question. What are the best kinds of pins to make right now? Normal pins, idea pins, video pins, or product pins? Which ones should you be making? So, idea pins used to be Pinterest's hot topic for a while, and users found that story pins would get a lot more impressions than any other type of pins. But this isn't quite the case anymore, and Pinterest have been serving up a good blend of pins and pin types on your home feed. Depending on what you like and what you click on in Pinterest will depend on the blend of pins that you're being served. So you might get more story pins or video pins or just image pins, depending on what you've clicked on Pinterest before. But I think the secret to having more of your content served to more users, which is what you want, is to create pins that draw engagement, regardless of whether they're in story pins, video pins, or image pins. So if your pin has a high engagement rate, then it will be served more because Pinterest will determine that users are interested in your pin because they're interacting with it. So the more clicks you get on it, the more saves you get on it. These are the things that you want. I always think that it's a good idea to create a good blend of pins. So create a couple of image pins. I do probably my majority of my image pins on my site, and then a couple of story pins, a couple of video pins, and then basically see what works for you, see what people are engaging with and what they're clicking on, and then pursue more of that. And that way you can chase the success that you're having and replicate it. Question 2. Is it better to pin manually or to schedule your pins? Without a doubt, it's better to schedule your pins. It's super easy to generate a month's worth of pins with Pin Generator and set them up for scheduling. This takes me about an hour each month to create enough pins to schedule 20 pins per day. So what I do at the beginning of each month, I go into Pin Generator, I type in the URLs for all my new blog posts and products, and I create enough pins for the entire month to have 20 pins per day that are being scheduled out. So I batch create about 600 pins, which is 20 pins per day. And then once they're all scheduled, they will just go out and be pushed out automatically every day within certain allotted times. So this is much easier than having to log on to Pinterest every day and pin manually all the pins you want, because firstly you have to have the discipline to go onto Pinterest every day and create pins every day and allot that time for yourself. So call it an hour, 2 hours every day. Or and even on the weekends, be making pins and posting them, which is, it's impossible. I tried to do it at first, which is why I created Pin Generator. So the best way to do it is in the beginning of the month, create all your pins, schedule them all, and then let them run out the month's worth, and then come back and do it again the next month. It's a super time-saving way, and with Pin Generator, you can create pins super fast. So creating 600 pins for me normally takes me about an hour to an hour and a half each month. Question 3. How many times should I pin a day? Well, this is the first question that everybody asks themselves. The short answer is you should be pinning about 15 to 30 images per day. The long answer is that it depends on your type of business, and if you have a big store with thousands of products for sale, then it makes sense to have this number on the high end of the scale, or even much higher. But if you're a small store with only a few products or blog posts, then certainly on the lower end of the scale. My rule of thumb is to try not to post more than one pin that leads to a specific URL per day. So if I'm selling teacups and my URL is /cool teacups, I'll only have one pin per day that points to that outbound URL, cool teacups. That's my general rule of thumb. Pin Generator has a really cool feature that allows you to smart shuffle your pins. So once you have all your pins scheduled, you can click on the Smart Shuffle button that most widely spaces apart pins that have the same outbound URL. So this is what follows my rule of thumb. One other thing to remember is that when you start pinning, start ramping up your pinning schedule gradually. So don't, open up your Pinterest account and then start pinning 1,000 pins a day, because Pinterest is going to immediately see this as like, right, this guy's spamming for sure. What you should do is, what I do is I'll start pinning maybe 10 pins per day. And then maybe after a month, I'll start pinning 15 to 20 pins a day. And then after another month, start pinning 30 and then start raising it that way. So Pinterest definitely looks at your pinning history. And if it sees, okay, this guy normally pins 20 pins per day, and then one day you pin 300, they'll say, wait, that's unusual. That kind of looks like spammy activity. So try to avoid do that and try to let the pin rate with what you're pinning each day climb gradually so that there's no real spikes in your activity. Question 4. Do I have to be consistently posting new pins? Pinterest loves fresh pins. So what is a fresh pin? A fresh pin is an image or a video that Pinterest has not seen before. Pinterest wants relevant, useful, and new content for their users. So if you went on Pinterest and kept seeing the same popular images over and over, week after week, then you wouldn't want to go back to Pinterest because you're going to see the same content. So creating new and never seen before images for the platform is what they want. You'll also find that Pinterest is very intelligent with detecting duplicate pins and repins. And often you'll see that these pins often even share the same statistics. So if you pin the exact same pin 3 times in a row, you'll see the pin 3 times on your boards and on your profile. But if you look carefully, sometimes they will share the same number of impressions, outbound clicks, and so on. So Pinterest is very clever about seeing this. And the answer to the question is, yes, you should be posting new pins constantly. A great way to create new fresh pins is through Pin Generator. Every time that you generate new pins, you'll have a new combination of colors, text, and pin template. So check it out. Question 5. Do I need to make multiple pin images for each of my products, Etsy listings, and blog posts? The answer is yes. You should create multiple pin images for each of your products. So this will help you to showcase your product in different ways with different images and from different angles. So you've got to remember that not all users are attracted to the same type of graphics and colors. So having a variety of images that use a bunch of different styles and different images will increase your chances of getting noticed on Pinterest. So what appeals to me might not appeal to you, and it's great to have a variety out there to capture a bunch of different types of people. Question 6. Do I need to keep repinning the same pins or create new ones every time? Fresh pins outperform repins most of the time, but there are cases where repinning the same image makes sense, such as pinning the image to a different board or catalog. This will give Pinterest more information about the pin across topics, which will hopefully cause your pin to appear across multiple searches. So for instance, if you have a pin about gardening rakes, you're going to want to put that pin into a board that's best gardening equipment and gardening hacks, another board, gardening hacks, So target different keywords that a person might search, and then that same pin can be repinned across various boards, and that will help in that case. But generally, fresh pins are always better. Question 7. Does Pinterest delete my old pins? No, Pinterest will not delete your own pins. Pinterest will only ever delete your pins if they go against Pinterest's community guidelines. So you can read about those. I'll put a link below. Question 8. Why are some of my pins getting no traffic or engagement? So this is often a sign that your account may have been flagged as spam. This can be caused by pinning in ways that a spammer would. For instance, pinning too many pins in one day, or let's say inbox spamming other Pinterest users with spam content. So like if you reach out to Pinterest users and say, hey, buy my product, or, click on this link, then they're going to see that as spam. And so additionally, when you create a new Pinterest account, this can sometimes happen, as new accounts are often regarded with more suspicion, as spammers often create a new account and do as much spamming as they can before they get caught. I was told by Pinterest that there is a spam alert window on new accounts, and this spam alert window is about 10 days, they told me. If you think that you've been incorrectly flagged as spam, you should contact their support channel and ask them if you've been flagged as support. They can check for you and unflag you if you've been incorrectly marked as spam. So remember, the Pinterest spam detector is automatic, so there is a chance that it can be wrong and you've been falsely flagged as spam. But if you've been participating in spam activity, and let's say you weren't aware of some of the policies that they consider as spam, well, after you've messaged their support channel, they'll tell you what you've been doing wrong and how you can avoid that behavior in the future. So then they'll unflag your account as spam if it's an honest mistake, and you can go on about your business. Then those impressions should come back. But if you have been spamming, then they'll probably just block you, and then that's game over. Question 9. What's the best size image for a Pinterest pin? So Pinterest recommends that a pin be a vertical image. They want the image to have a 2:3 aspect ratio, for example, 1000 by 1500. So that's like cell phone dimensions. So having pins with different aspect ratios can sometimes cause your images to get cropped a bit. So when they display it on the Pinterest dashboard, you know how it's like a masonry gallery. Sometimes they can crop the images to fit their style of masonry gallery. So, and if your images do get cropped, this might have a negative effect on your pin's performance, especially if there's like text on the image and that text gets cropped. Then, guys can't read the text that they're seeing and the pin will look bad. Question 10. How long does it take Pinterest to rank pins? How far in advance of seasons should I pin? So Pinterest can take about 2 to 4 weeks to reach their full visibility on Pinterest, and this is a guesstimate. This is not in their documentation. It's nothing they've said. But this is what most users have found. So plan pins a few months before the seasons that you're targeting. So remember, if you're targeting Christmas products, don't aim for the 25th of December. Aim to have your pins ranking 1 month before that, as people are looking for Christmas presents, are looking for them, a month before, in November. So if you want your pins to be ranking in November, start pinning these 1 month before, which is October. So pin them in October, let them rank, then hopefully they'll have full visibility on Pinterest through the month of November. And then, people will be buying and making it, you'll be making sales throughout November, and that's when you'll reap the benefits. Question 11. Do I need to repin every year for that same season? So seasonally repinning is still a good idea, even though Pinterest has reduced the effectiveness of repinning. So this will refresh your pins in the presence of the algorithm and hopefully cause your pins to get redisplayed in the new season. But remember that fresh pins are always better than repins. So if you are able to create pins quickly and easily with a tool like Pin Generator, then this is always a better option. Question 12. Does the number of my Pinterest followers matter when it comes to appearing in search results? I don't think that anyone can answer this question with 100% certainty, as the Pinterest algorithm, is a secret. However, what I can tell you is that most social media companies use a variety of metrics to determine what media to show. I'm fairly sure that our follow accounts factor into this, but it is probably not weighted as much as other metrics, such as click or repin interactions. What we do know about followers, though, is that people that follow you will see more of your content, which means more impressions for you, which is great. People that follow you will also see your stories first on their home pages. So having lots of followers will definitely get you more impressions, and people will see a lot more of your content. Like if you like a specific Pinterest creator and you've followed them, you'll see more of their stuff coming up on your home feed. So followers are good, but I'm not sure it factors in a material way to how the Pinterest algorithm shows your pins to non-followers. So I took my glasses off as I realized the glare might be annoying some people. Question 13. How to use keywords for Pinterest. The best and most simplest way to use keywords with Pinterest is to type in the topic you want to make pins for and see what other search queries are coming up. The phrases that come up in the auto-suggest are the most searched terms on Pinterest. So this will indicate to you what the best keywords to target are. Select a few of these keywords and include them in the title of your pins as well as in the description. This will help you to rank and appear for those keywords when someone searches for those things on Pinterest. Another great tool that you can use for keyword research on Pinterest is Pin Inspector. I'll leave a link below. This will help you to find a good keyword for Pinterest, as well as how to investigate what keywords the top boards and pins are getting lots of traffic to. So you can investigate your competition and, target the same keywords as them to achieve the same success. Question 14. How many boards should I have on Pinterest? I don't think that getting to a certain number of boards is important. What I think you should focus on is creating boards that add value to Pinterest users and that are well set up and contain good content. So this means you should set up a board that has content that you want to target, find the keywords that you want to target and add those to your board's title and description. Make sure you choose a great thumbnail for the board too. Once these are set up, add around 20 high quality pins that suit the board's title and description. For example, if the board is titled Best Outfits for Sausage Dogs, then that board should have a variety of sausage dog outfits in it. Make sure that the pins in this board also repeat the keyword that you're trying to target. So ensure that your boards are quality boards, and in doing so, that'll drive traffic. Having 1,000 boards isn't important, but having 10 really good quality boards will serve you much better. Question 15. How do I make sense of Pinterest stats? The best way for me to explain this is just to show you. So let me show you how I use Pinterest stats. This is the analytics backend of one of the sites that I use. I've been managing this site for about 6 months and have been implementing a strategy with Pin Generator, pinning about 20 pins per day. And you can see I've got some good growth here. I've got 424,000 impressions. So this is how many people are seeing my pins. And this is over the 90-day date range. So if you want to see a shorter date range, like 30 days or so, you can change it to that. And you can see I've got 186,000 people that have viewed my pins in the last 30 days, which is a good increase of 40%. My engagements are up 13%, total audience up 18%, for a total of 57,000 odd. And yeah, so we can see that there's some good growth here. So I'm going to go back to 90 days. And now this is for impressions. So this is basically your pin coming up when someone is on Pinterest. They run a search, or perhaps it's on their dashboard or on their homepage. And so this is good to see how Pinterest is delivering your pins. What is a very important metric for me is outbound clicks. So I want people going to my website, to my store, and I want to know how many people are clicking. So you can track that with the clicks. So you can see that I'm getting about 49 clicks to my store per day from Pinterest so far, and this is growing nicely. And yeah, that's how much traffic per day is being sent to my website. So another good thing to look at is engagement rate. So this is like a way to see how viral your pins are or how engaging they are. So you can see my pins are pretty engaging, 3.12% here. I think anything but 2 to 4% is quite normal for an engagement rate. Higher than that, you got some really good pins. If you're getting like a 10% engagement rate, that's really, really good. For me, outbound clicks is the most important, and that basically is my goal. So that's how I check that there. You can also drill down into your stats. Let's say I only want to see people 25 to 34, and I want to see their stats on my site. So you can see it's a bit more sparse. And let's say female only. Let's go all. So you can see there's plenty of female Pinterest users. Male Pinterest users, not so much. Yeah, so I think it's like 80% of Pinterest users are female. And then also, this is quite interesting, the data source here is you can look at your pins, you can look at the stats from the pins you've created and how many impressions and outbound clicks you're getting, and then from other pins. So this is other people pinning your pins and doing repins and whatnot. So I haven't got much of those stats, but this is basically the traffic that other people have created for you. So yeah, that's how I make sense of all my pins. Oh, and if you want to check different pins by pin type, up here you can go to standard pins, product pins, idea pins, or video pins. Cool. Question 16. Have I missed the boat to get traffic on Pinterest since so many bloggers from years ago are dominating it? Definitely not. There is so much opportunity on Pinterest still these days. The platform is growing. There's 450 million odd users that use Pinterest every day, and the type of content that's on there and the quality of content is ever evolving. As mentioned previously, Pinterest loves fresh pins, so fresh content is always going to get preference. I personally started my main Pinterest store about a year ago, and I have been able to see great growth through a steady Pinterest marketing strategy, and that's been driving really good traffic to my website. That traffic, monetizes really well, especially if you're pushing content that is specific to a product that people are searching for. So it's really high quality content in most cases. So you definitely haven't missed the boat. Keep the faith and use it well and chase success. What we do have to note is that Pinterest is very good for certain categories. So, categories that are really popular on Pinterest, like recipes, travel, mommy blogs, craft making, makeup and beauty, those things are going to do really well on Pinterest. So if you fall into one of those categories, then you're probably going to find success on Pinterest. If you don't fall into one of those categories, you probably need to test the demand on Pinterest first before, jumping into a full Pinterest marketing strategy. But you definitely haven't missed the boat. Pinterest still has a ton to offer creators, so keep on pinning. Question 17. How long after I pin can I start seeing traffic to my shop? So as mentioned previously, pins normally take about a month to start ranking. This isn't gospel, this isn't verified by Pinterest, but generally users have found that it takes about a month for pins to start ranking and to be distributed to their full potential on Pinterest. Question 18. How do I know if shop visitors came from Pinterest? So what I like to use is Google Analytics to track where all my traffic is coming from to my website, and this is how I see it. Analytics, you can go to the reports on the side here, go to acquisition, and then user acquisition. So once it's loaded this user acquisition, you shall see organic social. So this will be a combination of Facebook, Pinterest, and other social media networks. Your organic search, that's normally from Google search and Bing search and DuckDuckGo. And then direct is people that type in your URL directly and go directly to your website. Question 19. How does the Pinterest algorithm work? Short answer is we don't know. If everybody knew, this would be an easy game to perfect, What we do know is that Pinterest likes pinners who contribute content consistently to the platform, which is why setting up pin scheduling is super important. Pinterest also loves fresh pins, so newer pins are going to be favored by the algorithm. And what we do know is that with Pinterest's big push into sales on Pinterest, product catalogs as well as Pinterest ads, we know that Pinterest wants people to find products on Pinterest that they want to buy and to drive that sale with Pinterest. So when you create your pins, make sure that you're showcasing your products and your brand, and Pinterest is going to like this because they want to drive more e-commerce sales through the platform, and that's how they want to, that's the future vision for Pinterest, I think. So if you follow those directives, schedule your pins, pin consistently, create high quality pins, focus on products and showcasing those products in beautiful ways. If you follow those things, you'll have a successful Pinterest marketing strategy. I know that was a long video, so if you stayed to the end, give me a like and a subscribe. Thanks so much for listening. And if you have any questions, hit them down below in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them all. Pinterest is a great platform to showcase your products and market them still, especially for Etsy stores, Shopify stores, all e-commerce stores. And I still have big faith in it, and I'm using it personally throughout various businesses of my own. And yeah, onwards and upwards. Hopefully this helps you to drive more sales and traffic to your website and to help you succeed. Cool. Catch you later. Peace.